Welcome back, everyone. Today's explainer of the source material dives into a truly fascinating geopolitical mystery. We're looking at the dramatic fallout and the hidden dynamics that followed a highly intense military engagement known as Operation Sindoor. If you've been following South Asian geopolitics, well, you know that what happens on the surface between India and Pakistan is rarely the whole story. As our source material reveals, there's this incredibly complex, trilateral paradigm at play here. It involves a much larger, unseen puppeteer. Okay, let's dive into this. We'll be looking at the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, China's covert tech support, the trilateral arms race, the battle for space, the geopolitical trade paradox, and finally, identifying the real winner.
Section 1. Aftermath of Operation Sindoor, the initial conflict.
So, our source material maps out a really rapid, intense sequence of events during Operation Sindoor. It all kicked off with Indian strikes on what it designated as terror headquarters in Pakistan. But what happened next? Well, it surprised a lot of observers. In the first few days, Pakistan was incredibly successful at tracking and downing Indian jets. This forced a massive course correction from the Indian military in weeks 2 through 4. They had to heavily rely on BrahMos precision strikes instead. Finally, this intense, localized conflict culminated on May 10, 2025, with a ceasefire announcement, which was actually triggered by a tweet from the U.S. president. While Pakistan initially dominated the skies, the data shows that India's tactical pivot was, frankly, devastatingly effective. By switching to BrahMos cruise missiles, which completely bypass standard air defenses, India successfully struck 11 Pakistani airfields and destroyed 13 aircraft. But this localized success begged a massive question for Indian defense analysts. How on earth were Indian jets so accurately targeted by Pakistan in those crucial first few days?
Section 2. China's covert tech support, the unseen advantage. Well, the source analysis points out a crucial detail. Pakistan wasn't acting alone, not at all. They were deeply integrated into China's C4ISR network. Now, that stands for Command, Control, Communications, Computers, Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance. According to the reports, China wasn't just, handing over hardware. They were providing real-time tracking data and live satellite intelligence through something called civil-military fusion. This allowed Pakistan to literally monitor Indian vectors and fighter movements in real time. It gave them a massive, completely unseen tactical advantage.
Section 3. The Trilateral Arms Race. Strategic Chess Match. Operation Sindoor was a huge eye-opener for both sides, and it essentially kicked off a frantic strategic chess match. Think of it like this. Every single new piece of hardware acquired by one nation is now a direct answer to their adversary's latest capability. On one side, we have Pakistan aggressively acquiring Chinese-backed platforms, and on the other, India is rapidly ramping up its indigenous development and Russian tech integration. Let's break down Pakistan's specific upgrades detailed in the source. To counter India's BrahMos success, Pakistan unveiled the Fateh 3. This is a supersonic cruise missile based on Chinese designs, and it's capable of flying so low, we're talking sea skimming here, that it completely evades traditional radar. Down on the naval front, they're deploying Hangor-class submarines equipped with air-independent propulsion that lets them stay submerged way longer than standard diesel subs. And crucially, up in the air, they are expecting deliveries of Chinese J-35 fifth-generation stealth fighters by year-end. That would definitely give them a severe edge over India's current 4.5-generation fleet. Now, what's really interesting here is how India's countermeasures are perfectly mapped to neutralize those exact threats. To bypass Pakistan's upgraded defenses and their nuclear umbrella, India recently tested the Agni missile equipped with MIRV technology. That means just one missile can deploy multiple independent warheads. To match precision strike capabilities on a budget, India developed the Tara kit, which essentially converts older, unguided munitions into smart glide bombs. And to shut down those sea-skimming Fateh 3 missiles and the new stealth jets, India is deploying multiple squadrons of the Russian S-400 air defense system. That system is capable of tracking and engaging 36 targets simultaneously from up to 400 kilometers away. Section 4. The Battle for Space, the Silent Frontier. And this brilliantly illustrates a staggering asymmetry in space-based surveillance. The source data reveals China operates over 350 dedicated intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance satellites. By contrast, India's own independent GPS system, NAVIC, currently has only 3 fully operational satellites out of the required 4. Analysts state that to properly close the loop and monitor enemy movements in real time, India desperately needs a constellation of at least 52 satellites, and that's a goal that might not be fully operational until 2029. Meanwhile, China has actively launched a joint satellite constellation specifically for Pakistan. This includes the PRSC-EO3, which is placed at a unique 38-degree inclination that is perfectly suited for constantly monitoring the India-Pakistan border regions. It also includes the PRSC-S1, utilizing radar that can literally see straight through clouds and the dark of night, and the PRSC-HS1. It uses hyperspectral imaging to detect camouflaged missile launchers hidden deep in dense forests. Put it all together, and these Chinese-launched assets provide Pakistan with a 24/7 multimodal net right over Indian territory. Section 5. The Geopolitical Trade Paradox, Economics versus Military. $112 billion. The analysis brings us face to face with this incredibly massive number. That is India's current trade deficit with China. Despite the military clashes, the source points out that India's economic reliance on Chinese imports has actually doubled since 2020. It's reaching over $130 billion in total imports this year alone. The source material impartially lays out an astonishing contrast between military readiness and diplomatic posture. On one hand, we see a military actively tracking joint satellite threats and deploying advanced S-400 and Agni systems. On the other hand, the economic reality shows booming Chinese imports, simplified tourist visas, and restored direct flights. The analysis even notes cultural shifts, reporting that Bollywood films have altered the names of historical border conflict sites like Galwan to avoid offending diplomatic sensitivities. So the crucial point is summarized beautifully by this quote from the Indian Army. Look, regardless of whether they've faced Pakistan, China, or both simultaneously, the military maintains a purely localized tactical mindset. As they say, you play against the team that turns up on the park. They fight the adversary right in front of them. But this quote stands in really sharp contrast to the complex, deeply intertwined economic dependencies that policymakers have to navigate on the global stage. Section 6. Identifying the real winner. Who benefits the most? So we have to ask the ultimate question. Synthesize this data with me for a second. 1 year after Operation Sindoor, who is actually winning this arms race? Is it India? Is it Pakistan? Well, the source analysis suggests looking at what it calls the proxy loop. Here's how it works. Step 1. China supplies Pakistan with advanced hardware and ISR data. Step 2. These weapons and systems are essentially field-tested in real-world combat scenarios against highly capable Indian forces. Step 3. Having proven their effectiveness, the Chinese defense industry can market this tech globally as war-tested. The commentary points out that this overarching strategy massively benefits China's global defense market, and they do it without firing a single shot directly. That being said, the source data absolutely highlights India's massive structural advantages too. Pakistan faces severe economic hurdles and debt, making it incredibly difficult to sustain this kind of arms race long term. Meanwhile, India boasts a defense budget 8 times larger than Pakistan's. They are steadily advancing next-generation indigenous technologies, things like the AMCA stealth fighter and BrahMos NG, which ensures a long-term strategic edge. Which leaves us to ponder this. How must a nation adapt its strategy when the physical battlefield is strictly local, but the unseen puppeteer is global? It completely reframes how we think about modern conflict. Thanks for joining me for this explainer of the source material. Keep questioning, keep analyzing, and we'll see you in the next one.